Flip, flop, hop the mop. Toy Story 5. I know that this review is like super late to the game, but I was really busy for a while now, so I didn't really have time to make this, but I wanted to talk about this movie really badly, so here it is. You can watch it if you want. My relationship with the original Toy Story trilogy, which I guess from this point on needs to be referred to as like the Andy trilogy or something, is very personal, and those movies are pretty special to me for all kinds of reasons that I won't get into. But basically, just thinking about Toy Story 3 gets me pretty emotional. And Toy Story 4 I saw when I was pretty young and thought I was really cool for criticizing movies, so I went in with the mindset that it was going to be the worst thing ever and it couldn't be anything better. I was definitely being dramatic, so who knows, maybe I would like it a bit more if I watched it again, but I'm pretty sure I don't like it very much. What I'm trying to say by giving you this information is that when Toy Story 5 was announced, my first emotional instinct was negativity. This movie is cynical, it's a cash grab, its existence will ruin my childhood, etc., etc. But going in with that mindset isn't reasonable or fair. I feel like I've grown into a chill-ish guy with semi-reasonable opinions, so I don't think I should be hating on this movie just because it exists. As special as those original Toy Story movies are to me, and as cool as it is that those films are such a big part of my life, and as perfect as the ending to that trilogy is, at a certain point, it's just a kid's movie being released. Like, calm down. It's not the end of the world, and who knows, despite the existence of this movie obviously being for the purpose of making money, maybe there's a lot of care and artistry put into it and a reason for actually continuing the story. I mean, a lot of people seem to be enjoying it, so I went in with an open mind and an open heart. And with all that being said, I didn't like this movie very much. I'll give Toy Story 5 this. They were really genuinely trying. This movie was definitely announced solely for profit, but a good story was trying to be told. It's very relevant to today, acknowledging the emergence of technology and kids playing with toys less and less. The best part of the movie was Bonnie's struggle to make friends when all the kids her age are like on their devices. I think that a lot of young children will connect with this, and I found it pretty enjoyable and a little touching. Jessie, who's kind of the main character now, goes through an arc that isn't really necessary to her character, but not unwelcome at all. It kind of closes the chapter on her backstory with a really sweet reveal at the end. I also quite liked the shenanigans of all the Buzz toys. That was fun. And I liked the way that their storyline ended up intersecting with like the main plot. Of course, I think it goes without saying that the animation in this movie is very well done. Although, I'm kind of getting sick of this super realistic look that all the Pixar movies have. A look which Hopper's kind of tried to divert from earlier this year with a bit more of a unique cartoonish style. But even so, this movie looks undeniably impressive. It's got some good lighting, cool set pieces, and everything looks super highly rendered and just full of detail. I also enjoyed the switch up in animation style when it came to the scenes that took place in Bonnie's imagination. Those bits were a lot of fun, and I think the scribbly, exaggerated look had the proper childlike energy that it needed. I particularly liked a lot of the lighting choices, such as a scene near the end where two characters are like in front of a truck and they have a big moment and the light gets closer only for them to pull away just in time before the truck hits them. I thought that was a really creative and cool scene, and there's a lot of parts just like that that make for such fun and memorable set pieces. From a purely visual standpoint, everything here is better than anything Illumination has put out ever, and honestly, better than most mainstream movies releasing today, even in live action. The movie is very nice to look at, if a bit redundant of like everything else Pixar has done. What I really didn't vibe with is that this movie felt like it was catering to short attention spans. The comedy mostly didn't land with me because of how like frantic it was, and it didn't really slow down and take a moment to breathe for most of the movie. At least that's how I felt. I did like the poop jokes though, and the toilet paper guy in general. That was pretty funny, actually. Something that really bugged me was how the movie relied on a lot of coincidences and characters just happening to like not pay attention in a part that really affects the plot of the movie. I realize that's already in like all the Toy Story movies to some degree, but in this one, it was definitely done a lot to like an absurd degree. The parent like just happened to be not paying attention, and they just happened to not like question these toys showing up in a random place. With these movies, you're already asking the audience to suspend their disbelief quite a bit, and I think this movie takes it a little too far. I don't know if this is technically an issue with the film, but there were aspects of the movie's handling of technology that I found slightly troubling. I think narratively, the decision to make the iPad thing turn good or whatever, it worked, but I think I would have preferred it to be like lifeless. I feel like the toys having to reconcile with the fact they're basically being replaced by an inanimate object would be a more interesting conflict. It would drive home the idea that devices aren't inherently good or bad. It's what we potentially do with them or what we don't do because of them that is bad or good. It would be kind of scary if Bonnie was spending all this time with something that couldn't talk or emote, especially if it still had a face and looked like it could. I feel like that would have a lot of potential and would stick better, like, thematically. But I guess having a walking, talking tablet who turns good at the end is more marketable or whatever. And 5 years ago, this wouldn't be as much of an issue, but doing that in, like, the age of AI, like, destroying everything, definitely doesn't feel good to be marketing to children. I also find it really odd how much power the iPad has and how it's just not questioned or criticized at all. Like, wow, the iPad that this 8-year-old has can contact anybody anywhere on any device and also control every device in the house. And it can do all that just by its own will. What? You know what? Let's not worry about that. But the biggest part of why I didn't care for this movie is that I came to realize halfway through that this movie is not the Toy Story for me. It's not the Toy Story I like. This is meant for the children of today, the ones that grew up raised on iPads and Alexas. This is for children to watch Bonnie's plight and relate to it and maybe be changed by what they see. And that's great. Well, minus a few questionable things, but mostly it's great. If this makes any kind of positive impact on someone's life, well, I'm only happy for them. But that's also part of my issue. Like I said, it's made for children to watch. I think that the first three, and sure, you could argue four, are made for adults, but able to be enjoyed by children. I enjoyed the first three movies when I was a kid, but as I got older, they became much more meaningful, especially Toy Story 3. The experience of growing older and having to let go of things is so perfectly captured in a beautiful way. And every time I watch it, I get something new to appreciate about it. To me, this one feels like it was designed for the kids to learn a lesson about technology and friendship, and it just also happens to be well made and have nods to the original Toy Story as like an afterthought. Despite all the objectively positive things I just talked about, this movie just failed to move me personally. And as important as script, direction, editing, and all of that is to films, I think when it comes down to it, emotion is more important than all of that. Disclosure Day is a recent movie that I thought has a ton of flaws, but it's cool and earnest, and it worked on me specifically, which is why I liked it so much. For me, this movie had some moments where I had fun, some moments where I was like, oh, that's nice, but there was nothing left after that. It was kind of in one ear out the other kind of thing. And I'm sorry if that makes this review seem like unfair, but it is what it is. I didn't vibe with it. The message felt really on the nose. It had its moments, and ultimately I just didn't like it. A terrible atrocity that I'm steaming mad about? No. But is this something that I'm going to look forward to watching again and think about often? Definitely no. Also, it really pissed me off when they used the music from Toy Story 3 at a moment which didn't really fit at all. Like, I heard the music and I was like, oh, I'm emotional. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is very manipulative. And I got really annoyed because, darn it, every time I hear that music, it sets off something in me, okay? You can't use that when it doesn't fit in the scene. Okay, you're manipulating me right now. That annoyed me a lot. I'm gonna give this movie a 5 out of 10, but it's a pretty high 5, closer to a 6. I think it's well made, but like I said, just didn't vibe with it. It was fine. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Toy Story 5. Was I wrong? Was I right? how can I improve on reviewing and making videos? And tell me which toe on your left foot is your least favorite toe on your left foot. Okay, toodles to infinity and